I'm trying to get to know people from the group. This is Des. Who's Des?
Who is Des? I'm your colleague from the Irish business. I'm the group COO of CWSI. Recently joined, so I joined CWSI 4 months. It's just over 4 months. Time is flying. I feel like I know you really well already. And this is my second visit to the Utrecht office here.
So, what's keeping you awake then? We have our ambition and we have our knowledge and capability.
Well, I think what keeps me awake. So, I spend a lot of time. While I was at Microsoft, I was the spokesman for cybersecurity. I've always been deeply interested in cybersecurity. I study it a lot. I read pretty much any report I can get my hands on. There's no question that cybersecurity is a real challenge. And I think Europe is particularly exposed to cybersecurity threats because of what's happening in Eastern Europe. We've all been looking at it, wondering at what point will it spill over from being largely a land war into something broader. And so far there hasn't been anything too significant. The SSCIP, which is the Ukrainian communications department, have defended about 2,100 attacks since the start of the war. Now they're obviously getting supported by NATO and by companies like Microsoft. They've largely been able to defend their environment, but the attacks are there, and there has been a couple of attacks outside of Ukraine. So an example was a week after the German government agreed to send Leopard tanks to Ukraine, there was an issue in some of the German airports, which has never formally been pointed to as an attack by Russia, but
same problem over here in Holland with in hospitals that are getting attacked.
So some of that will be criminal, some of it will be potentially military.
Grey area.
It's a gray area. But so that's an interesting one to watch, and it's something that I worry about. But to be honest with you, the more important thing at the moment that I worry about is our customers taking this seriously. One of the challenges we have in our industry is it's hard to put your finger on. Has there been an attack? Unless you've actually been the victim of an attack, it's sometimes you look at all of the news and all of the reporting on it and you go, this is just marketing. I can tell you it's not marketing. Unfortunately, I've been involved in a number of attacks, and they are devastating. And when they happen, it happens quickly, and there's no rhyme or reason. So small company, big company, doesn't matter. And there are some easy things that our customers can be doing to help defend themselves. I think, and at the core of cyber attacks these days, it's all about identity. So, almost all of the attacks start with a phishing attack. I'd say, depends on which report you read, 90 to 99% of attacks start with somebody inadvertently clicking on the wrong link. And
that can be on a mobile device as well.
It can be on a mobile device.
I'm always surprised by take a random group of people, ask them how do you protect your data and your applications on your mobile device. They just don't. And on a laptop it's quite normal to have your antivirus and things. It's a lot of.
It is and it is really easy to fall victim to this. I put my hand on my heart. I have spent 20 years working in cybersecurity, and I have clicked on the wrong link. Now, luckily, it was in an internal Microsoft
the
testing. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. And so I think our customers need to make sure we're taking it seriously, doing their best to educate their people on the threats. Because your people are your first line of defense. If they are looking for these threats, they're less likely to click on the link. And then the second thing after that is it's all about the identity. So you click on the wrong link, they will take control of your identity. And every customer I speak to is a little bit lax in how they're managing their identity.
Yeah. You think mobile, the multiple MFA, so is that already a thing, or do you see that a lot of customers are not using that MFA yet?
There's a lot of customers aren't using MFA. One of the reports that Microsoft released, the Digital Defense Report, not the current one, but the one previous to that one, I think the number was 24% of Microsoft customers globally are using Microsoft MFA. 24. Now, you assume that if they're not using Microsoft, they're using another technology potentially. Yeah. But there's no way that 24 goes anywhere near the number it needs to be to protect. So we need to take this seriously. There's
it's simple.
It's simple. There's some easy things you can do.
Yeah.
Pretty much every customer we send a consultant into to look at their identity. There's there's a quick and easy roadmap that we can get a customer from who might think that they're perfectly well protected, but they're not. And not an expensive thing. You can very quickly rule out a huge amount of the attacks that are happening.
And I think it will be mandatory. The European legislation is coming there, so NIS2 and things like that.
Look, NIS2 is going to be an interesting one. We already in Ireland. We already have government baseline security standards, which are like an early version of NIS2, and it's a good start. It's a good start that the governments are starting to put these communications out, because they're forcing people to think about these things. But unfortunately, it doesn't apply to all organisations. It applies to government, government are just as susceptible as anybody to an attack. But everybody needs to be thinking about this stuff. It's not difficult. There are some easy steps you can take. And I think it's that whole 80-20 thing. If you do these 2 or 3 things, you can rule out 80-90% of the attacks. And it's very easy. A couple of easy steps. And it's one of the things that we do as a business is to go in and give customers this guidance.
Well, and the steps are cheaper than the problem you're solving.
Well, the last statistic I read, the average attack, the cost of an attack now is $4.2 million. If you
depends on the size of the organization, of course.
It doesn't. I mean, if you look, there was an attack in San Bernardino 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they were ransomware, and it was $1.1 million ransom for them. But remember, that is just the ransom. The cost to recover, the cost to do any forensic analysis, the cost of your brand. It very quickly goes up there, and so 4.2 million is probably not far off the average. It's expensive when it happens. But it's not just expensive in terms of dollar value. I have been involved in recovery, and the cost to the people is actually underestimated. I have seen the stress of somebody coming into the office on a Monday morning. Over the weekend, the ransomware attack has happened, and no one knows where to start. What do we do? Who do we call?
It's panic.
It's panic. And luckily for me, I've been involved in a few, so I know what should be done, and I'm happy to guide customers through it. But those first 3 or 4 days are severely stressful. People are worried about their jobs. People are worried about the business. There's so much, and there's confusion. But it's not just the 3 or 4 days of the heat of the attack. The recovery can take months and months. And so
all the disruption in the processes and the information position you have.
Plus you have to go and rebuild most of your environment over time. And I think what I'm saying here is the impact on people. You can't put a dollar value on that. And, it's not nice to see.
So, what's the important next thing we need to do for our customers, you guess?
Well, I think we've covered some of it already. In fact, we need to continue to educate our customers in terms of what we're seeing. we are in a better position than than any of our customers, I would imagine, because we sit across so many different customers, so many different technologies. We do have a better handle on what the risks are.
Yeah.
And so we need to continue to educate our customers and talk to them about what we're seeing. Customers need to believe that we're not just marketing and we're not trying to sell all of the time, because that's definitely not the case. And then it's, as I said, there are some simple things with regard to educating your people, cracking down on poor management of identity. I think is really key.
That's the starting point.
And that's
and the basic security measures you can.
I think if I was to say two things. Review your identity. Even if you think it's good, I guarantee you it can be better.
And there are tools for that as well.
There are tools. Yeah. And then the second thing is your device management. So, if your device... Get a grip on. Yeah, if you get a grip on both of those, another layer on top of that, which is nice, but not every customer is there yet, is data governance. What
compliance
data,
part of it.
What data have you got that's valuable? Because if you can figure out what the gold dust is that you have, the target that the ransomware guys are after. If you can figure out what that is, and you can control that, and you can protect that, it just makes things harder for the attackers.
So it's a layered kind of approach as well.
So there's three or four different things there that I think we need to continue to talk about. The reality is this cybersecurity threats continue to evolve. Anytime there is something going on, whether it's COVID or something like that, they are opportunists. They will use whatever cover they
every
can.
kind of disruption that's there.
They will find a way to use that as a way to fish or to socially engineer things.
Yeah.
And so we need to stay on top of it.
Yeah. So we have another conversation anytime soon. Maybe.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks for the talk.